Are God's sovereignty, evil, and human government the same? This is one of the most relevant and challenging questions that arise at the intersection of Christian faith and political life. When we affirm that good and evil come from God, Isaiah 45:7, it is imperative that we do so with theological distinction. God is the author of good and order. He is the source of all goodness, justice, and light. God is the originator of calamity and judgment. The Hebrew Bible uses the word Ra to describe the evil that God creates, often referring to disasters, calamities, or his acts of judgment against nations and sinners. God is not the author of moral sin, James 1:13, but he is sovereign over the effect and permission of sin in the world. Even if a ruler is morally wicked, moral evil, he exercises his authority only because God, in his sovereignty, has allowed him or placed him there, whether to bless a nation or to exercise judgment upon it. Romans 13:1-2. The mandate of obedience. Respect for the institution. We must obey and respect rulers, not because of their personal merit, but because of God's merit and command. The Apostle Paul decrees in Romans 13:1-2. Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist are ordained by God. Therefore whoever resists the authority resists what God has ordained, and those who resist will receive judgment on themselves. A Christian's respect is directed toward the institution of civil government, which God ordained to maintain order, punish evil, and promote the common good. Romans 13:4. Disobedience to this institution is, fundamentally, a disobedience to God's plan of order. The patriarchs of the kingdom. Respect as a prophetic platform. God's strategy for exerting influence and accomplishing his will within pagan or corrupt systems of government. David and Saul. Saul, the anointed king, tried to kill David, God's new anointed one. Respect for the sacred office. David had the opportunity to kill Saul twice. 1 Samuel 24:26. But he refused, declaring, "The Lord forbid that I should stretch out my hand against the Lord's anointed." David teaches us to have reverence for the office God has established. Even when the holder of that office is wicked, he entrusted final judgment to God. Joseph of Egypt. He served under the Pharaoh, the highest pagan authority of his time. Faithful service and civic excellence, Joseph did not rebel. He became second in command. His obedience and faithfulness in public administration not only saved Egypt but also paved the way for the preservation of Israel. Serving God means being an exemplary citizen who can influence the government for good. Queen Esther. Married to the pagan Ahasuerus, a sovereign and sometimes volatile king. Submission as a platform for intercession. Esther obeyed the law of the court and used her position obtained under royal authority, to intercede for her people. Her submission and fear of God placed her in the right place at the right time to repeal a law, the genocide of Mordecai and the Jews, that violated God's plan. Nehemiah. Servant, cupbearer, of the pagan Artaxerxes I, king of Persia. Honoring and using legitimate channels, Nehemiah did not resort to conspiracy. He approached the king respectfully and requested permission and official resources. Royal letters. To carry out God's work in Jerusalem, he demonstrates that the work of the kingdom must follow legitimate channels and honor civil authority to achieve its goals. Daniel and his friends. Exiles who served Babylonian and Persian kings, including Nebuchadnezzar and Darius. Submission with a prophetic limit. They were models of obedience in all administrative functions. However, when human law required idol worship, Daniel 3, or prohibited prayer to God, Daniel 6, they practiced nonviolent, prophetic disobedience. The principle is, we ought to obey God rather than men. Acts 5:29. Obedience to rulers is not a matter of moral approval of their sins, such as allowing abortion or homosexual unions, but an acknowledgement of God's ordination. Where human law does not conflict with divine law, taxes, public order, traffic, the Christian obeys to glorify God. Where human law commands sin, requiring a Christian to have an abortion, worship idols, or stop preaching, the Christian prophetically disobeys, accepting the consequences, as did Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Our respect for authority is a testimony that we believe in a God who is the King of Kings and who has the final say, using even the deviations of rulers to accomplish his eternal purposes. Romans 13:1-2